the first thing that I suppose we ought to clarify is, what is it exactly that we are trying to do? Now, it just so happens that I got involved in this game long before phrases like front-end development, back-end development, and so on. There's probably a few more other end developments. I got on board in the mid-90s, long before that stuff even existed. So I would consider myself to be full stack, meaning I do everything. But the truth of the matter is, I don't actually do design, at least not commercially. I stopped doing design for other people. I design all of my own stuff, but for other people, I stopped doing it a long time ago, because what I realized, like a lot of developers, is that when you build something like an online shop, let's say, it's a very straight deal. You build the thing, it works, you go home, and everybody's fine. But as a developer, it didn't take me too long to realize that whenever I was showing people a design, let's say, more often than not, they'd look at it and they'd say, oh, it's okay, but can you change this, and can you change that, and can you change that? And time and time again, like many developers, I found myself entrenched in these never-ending soap operas that sometimes involve moving a little icon or changing colours, or it's not quite right, or something like that. Now, all of those types of conversations are fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nobody's doing anything unethical here. But it's just not the best way to earn a living for a guy like me. It's actually much easier to just build an application, and quite frankly, to have nothing to do with design or anything to do with, I suppose what you could call front end. So most of the people who hire me, well, I'll give them advice if sometimes they can take the advice, but they don't have to. I'm happy to give advice, but my policy pretty much is to avoid. Anyway, we're going to change that today, because I am going to be giving you some of the things that I think you should know. And I think that the first thing that you and I should establish before we go any further is, well, let me ask, what is good website design? Or put another way, what is it that you're hoping to achieve from all of this? Well, if your answer is something to do with, well, I want a site that looks really good, I have this really cool idea. Maybe you've got like a colour scheme in mind that looks really cool, or you're thinking of a site that you saw and you thought that was awesome. Maybe there's some fancy feature, a little thing that moves or updates dynamically or something. Whatever it may be, if that is what your idea of good website design is, well, I would encourage you to challenge that. Most people don't really look at design the way that I would look at it. With my own philosophy, I regard every single page as being part of a process that has a clearly defined and measurable outcome. And whilst it's easy to see this for things like, buy now and add to cart or sign up or whatever, it's not so easy with other types of pages. And I think that, I dare say, most people don't really have a clue about this stuff. I'll give you a couple of examples. If you think about a Contact Us page, right? Just think about a standard Contact Us page. So if I was to ask you, what is the primary purpose of a Contact Us page? Well, you tell me. Most people would say the primary purpose of a Contact Us page is to help people to get in touch. Maybe through a little form or a phone number or something like that. However, that, my friend, is not the primary purpose of a Contact Us page. As a matter of fact, it's not even the secondary purpose of a Contact Us page. Think about your own experience the last time you visited a website and you went to the Contact Us page. I bet it was either to see if you could find a map of the place so that you could navigate there. I did it earlier on today. I was going to a tailor. My cat had jumped up and yanked out a little thread and I wanted it fixed, and I found a site. Contact us. Oh, there it is on the map, right? So it's probably either for that, or more likely you went to a contact page to see if the organisation in question had credibility. This is why people go to contact us pages. So they're looking and they're saying, do they have a phone number? Do they have a physical bricks and mortar address? Do they have a photograph? Even, do they have photographs of the people or the office or the geographic location? And so when people go to a contact us page, they're not really looking for a contact us form. They're looking for these other things. And I would suggest that top of the list is actually credibility. They're wanting to see if you are credible. And I don't think that, well, I'm pretty sure most designers don't get this. I'll give you another example of a little sort of obvious thing, but it's a mistake that you see everywhere. So think about an online shop and imagine that somebody has added items to the cart, then they'll see a button that says proceed to checkout. Now, what happens after that? Well, in some instances, you might have create an account or some shenanigans to do with choosing a payment provider or handling shipping or who knows what. However, I'm astonished at the amount of online shops I see where when you go to the checkout part of the site, the business part of the site, you look up and you'll see all navigation with the different store categories and links down here with About Us and all of that bullshit. And a lot of designers don't get this. They don't realise that the purpose of that page is to get people through the payment gateway as quickly and as easily as possible without any distractions. And yet, why do so many sites have all of that garbage when you get to those phases where you're going into, or you should be going into, some sort of payment process? So these are really simple things. And it's astonishing to me how many people don't get this right. Now, the idea that you should hire a front-end developer or a JavaScript developer or whatever title you're going with to handle the general look and feel of the site is ridiculous. It's ridiculous for a variety of reasons. First of all, and there's a lot of JavaScript developers who watch. Hello, there's nothing wrong with being a JavaScript developer, but building commercial sites is probably not a good reason to be a JavaScript developer. That's because when you build a commercial website, like an online shop, or let's say it's a website for a restaurant or something, or a hotel, there's a pretty good chance that search engines will play an important part in this. I reckon in the years since I've been doing this, I would say 90% of the people who have hired me, in fact, not I would say, I know, because I've been there. 90% of the people who hire me have SEO as a requirement. They'll say, okay, can you build this? Oh, and we'd like a good search engine ranking. Now, the moment you go down the JavaScript route, especially if you're talking about single page applications, then maybe you like that little thing and that's all great, that it updates dynamically or whatever. But unfortunately, the search engines don't see that. They don't look at your site the way that you look at it. They actually look at the source code. And when they look at a site that's really, really JavaScript heavy, aside from the fact that it's slow loading, aside from the fact that these JavaScript frameworks are being rewritten every 10 minutes. I mean, have you seen what version Angular's on lately? Or how about Node.js? That's on version 20. And it's actually a reasonably new kid on the block. But apart from all of that stuff, the fact of the matter is that when you build sites that are really, really heavy on JavaScript, the source code is dog shit. There's just no nice way of saying it. And that's why when you go to your search engine, you can do it right now. Find any really competitive industry. Try insurance or cheap holidays or anything that is competitive. For me, I spent a lot of time working in car leasing. Last time I went to Google and searched for car leasing, an industry that's worth many billions per year here in the UK, 3 of the sites that were on page 1 were companies who hired me. And they hired me at ground zero. And they're now on page 1 making fortunes. You will not see that with any JavaScript developer. God bless them all. But the fact of the matter is that those sites do very poorly on search engines. In addition to all of this, many developers like me, and I'll say like me because I'm not offended, but many will be offended because the truth of the matter is that little dynamic update thing that you wanted, that little Ajax thing or whatever, is actually child's play. Any developer worth their salt can do that type of thing in their sleep. It's easy. You don't need some other JavaScript developer to show up with their rewrite schedules and their bullshit to come along and say, okay, here's how you do the stuff. But if you are going to hire a JavaScript developer or let's say a front-end developer, why don't you ask them a few questions? Say to them, give me 3 sites that you have personally built that started from ground zero and are now bringing in revenue of more than $1 million per year. In fact, while we're at it, just give me the business names and their physical addresses. Please do. Say to your front-end developer, tell me, front-end developer, what are your 3 favourite books and their authors on the subject of website design and or website usability? Now, I can answer all of these questions, by the way, happily. I can tell you my 3 favourite books now. My 3 favourite books would be Don't Make Me Think by Steve Krug. I mean, I can go into that, I can give you the content and all of that stuff. Why bother? Why bother? The truth is, I don't talk about it, I don't sell it, and I don't want anything to do with it. And again, that's because I don't want to get involved in some soap opera where somebody's saying, can you move it 2 pixels to the left and 2 pixels to the right? Unfortunately, a lot of people out there think that they are Leonardo da Vinci. Maybe they are. Maybe they have a gift. I don't know. But I'll tell you what I do know. This design usability business is not some mysterious art form. No, on the contrary, this is well-trodden territory. A lot of this stuff has already been trialed and tested on a massive scale. There's a ton of material out there that you can get. I mean, there's a really great book I recommend called Website Design for ROI. Website Design for ROI. If you get that book and nothing else, you'll have more knowledge about web design than 90% of commercial website designers or front-end developers. And so, I would say the following. First of all, you don't need to hire a front-end developer. You really don't. All you're doing is creating a source of friction, creating a point of failure. You're probably creating some ridiculous nightmare scenario where you're now being subjected to someone else's rewrite schedule. And you don't need it. You really don't. The truth is that all of that stuff, excuse me, your throat's a little bit dry here. All of that stuff is actually quite easy. And any developer worth their salt can do things like Ajax and all of that. Anyway, now my advice would be as follows. You've got a couple of options that I think are much more intelligent than I'm going to hire a front-end guy. Apologies, front-end developers. It's all part of the game. But my advice would be as follows. Either A, learn about this stuff. I've already mentioned a couple of books that you can check out. The 22 Immutable Laws of Branding by Al Ries is well worth reading as well. So you can learn about this stuff and I would encourage you to do so. and then you can get involved in the process. Learn about the laws of color, for example. So if your business is hoping to come across as being luxurious, learn about the colors that evoke a sense of luxury, like black and British racing green. And we could go on and on. If you're hoping to evoke a sense of trust, maybe you should go with royal blue or something like that. And we can have similar discussions with things like fonts, page layouts, the law of simplicity, the law of complexity. And I won't go into it because it'll really mean just regurgitating material that's already out there. But you can learn this stuff, and you can probably learn it in a weekend. You'll enjoy the process. It's knowledge that will stay with you for life. And even if the design is essentially a piece of paper, or even just a verbal description, I want such and such, that will be far more useful to you, and certainly to the developer guy, than I've hired a front-end guy who's going to help with all of that. So that's one path that you can go by. But the second thing I would say, and you can actually combine this second option with the first if you want to go real Jedi level, is start using the resources that are already out there. Look, if you're sitting with someone scratching your head with some genius idea that's going to change the world, well, it might not end as well as you would hope. So wouldn't it be nice if you could actually see the design before you put down a penny? Well, you can. So I would recommend going to design templating sites. And I know businesses worth fortunes that have done just that. In fact, I'll give you a couple of sites that I have personally used, and I think they're excellent. I think that themeforest.net is fantastic. Have a look around there. You'll get lost. There's some beautiful, beautiful designs there. And I'm not being paid any commission or anything. It's something that I've genuinely used a lot over the years. Check it out, even if just for the inspiration, just to say, well, there's something that looks good. So that's an idea. Another site that I've used and some of my clients have used, which is really good for admin panels, is rapbootstrap.com. That's WRAP bootstrap, all one word, .com. Some of the admin panels there are absolute top notch. So check these sites out. You've also got sites like Template Monster as well. There's loads of them, but the two I've given you are two that I personally use. Now, if you are determined to have somebody who is a designer or whatever do the site, then if you're really, really determined to go down that road, I would strongly consider 99 Designs. 99 Designs, just search for it, or Design Crowd. Both of those sites have got a very unique way of handling design, where you basically describe what you want and you effectively launch a sort of competition, and you have lots of designers submitting designs. I've done it a few times, and you do end up with a really cool design at the end of it. So I would consider that as well. But quite frankly, the idea of I'm going to hire a front-end developer to do the front end and a back-end developer to do the back end, if I'm being entirely honest, I just think I think you're throwing money down the drain. I think it will end in misery. And unless those two people are extremely super easygoing, they'll probably be at each other's throats, you know. Well, it will be if I'm dealing with them. Do you think I'm going to hang about and be like that? Oh, thank you, JavaScript. Oh, thank you. Oh, you think I should put it there? Oh, thank you, JavaScript guy. No. You put me in the ring with some little school leaver and I'll rip his goddamn head off. Anyway, it's an interesting topic, you know? And one of the things that is a source of sadness for me is that I actually do enjoy talking about this stuff. I enjoy the design process and I love it all, you know. And I'm looking over here, I've got a whole bunch of books and everything on it. But I never or rarely talk about it. And I don't do it because again, it's a certain soap opera that I don't want to be involved in. But the key takeaway from this whole video is, look, it's not some mystical art form or something. Please don't try to look for some holy grail or whatever. Your business. Oh, you see that thing with the selector? I felt that energy. Ah, man, I've got a really unique thing. You have to select sizes and shapes and blah, 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 blah. Listen, it's child's play, okay? It's really not as complicated as you think, I can assure you. So when it comes to front end and usability and all of that stuff, start thinking like a scientist. Start learning about things like A/B split testing, plugging gaps, which means adding in analytics, finding out the pages where people drop off, and then improving those pages. Maybe I should do a course on this stuff. You know, I think I could knock out a pretty good course. I probably won't. But in any event, I hope that you found this useful. Best of luck and happy coding. And if you're not coding, I hope that the site works out, whatever you do. Cheers. This is water, by the way. I get $500,000 every time I do that. Well, maybe not. All right. Stay cool. I'm trying to find the stop button. I'm trying to end the video. This Windows machine, I don't get. What's this? I'm literally looking for the stop button. I can't stop the video. How are you doing anyway? Ah, there it is. Thank you. Goodbye.